Hello YouTube, this is Blackley1, third part in my Blender Minecraft tutorial series. In this tutorial we're going to go over how to model a torch. This is now the 9th recording, and this is taking far too long, so there are probably going to be a few more mistakes in this video. Please bear with me, it's a little long and a little more complicated than the rest. So, first things first, we're going to have to run off to our app data folder, .minecraft bin. If minecraft.jar hasn't been extracted, do so, go back to lesson 1 and do that. If it's still extracted, go into your Minecraft folder, look for particles.png. There should be two of them. One is going to be 128 by 128, one's a little larger, 256 by 256. Ignore the larger one, it's empty. Copy the particles.png into our working directory, textures, and paste. I'm going to open up Blender here, open up the last tutorial I left off with, tutorial 2, and I'm going to edit my working area here real quick, split it off into some smaller sections, go back to the 3D view. I'm going to copy these two blocks, right click, holding shift to select both of them, shift D to duplicate, drag across the screen, holding control to lock to grid. Right click on object, numpad, period, with numlock on to center camera to the selected objects. And I'm sure I've described all of that in an earlier tutorial. Anyway, we're going to create a torch here. So I'm going to duplicate a smooth stone block here. The reason I'm doing that is just because all the UV faces are in one place as they are over here, unlike a wood block where our UV faces are separated between two textures. So select our block here, and we're going to scale it to the right proportions. I'm going to do this in object mode. So hit S. We know that the texture width for our torch is 2 pixels wide. The total width of a texture in Minecraft is 16 pixels, so that means that we are 1/8 the width of the entire block, so that's 0.125, 1 divided by 8. So while you have S selected in object mode with numpad on, type 0.125 and hit the enter key, and our object will scale to 1/8 of an entire block. For reference, our block is now 2 by 2 pixels, and our torch is 10 pixels tall. When you look at it in Minecraft, you're going to see that there are about 3 pixels below the bottom of the torch, and there are 3 pixels above the top. If it's 16 pixels high, that means there are 10 left over. So if we're currently at 2, we need to get to 10. We'll just multiply the height by 5. So in object mode still, hit the S key, hit the Z key to lock to scaling on the Z axis. Let go of the mouse again, hit 5, and enter. We now have the proper proportions for our torch. Go into edit mode, and with face select on, select the top, and we're going to separate this because it uses a different texture. Hit P to separate, and go back into object mode, select the bottom of the torch, and select all the faces. Go over to the UV editor, and drag it down and align the UV texture coordinates to our torch. Again, using the same as we did last time, leaving just a large enough gap around it so that it doesn't bleed over into the black. And after aligning an object in the UV editor, it's always a good idea to look around your object. You're probably going to find a face that has been inverted. Select that face, go into UV image editor, make sure all your nodes are selected by hitting A twice. Hit the R key to rotate, Control key to lock, rotate 180 degrees. The other face that's a little tweaked right now is going to be the bottom face, so select it. I fix this by selecting the top 2 vertices. To select a box in the UV image editor, hit the B key and click and drag, and you can select multiple vertices. Hit the G key to grab them, Y key to lock to the Y axis, and put them down to the bottom 2 by 2 pixels. Now we have to deal with the top. So select the top face. Gotta go into object mode, right click on the top face, go into edit mode. Go over to our materials tab when in edit mode with that. Make sure that we don't use the Minecraft object base material. Make that a single user. Go over to the textures, select the top texture. Make sure that that is also a single user. And go down to our image, train.png. Make sure that is a single user also. I'm going to open a new image. It's going to be our particles.png. Open the image. And in the UV face select, we've got to switch over to the image we are mapping with. So close the current image, open up particles.png, grab our UV face, lock it to the y-axis, scale it down, hit scale, and align your UV textures like so. Now that we have both of the material setup, we're gonna, in object mode, select both of them, right click on one, hold shift, right click on the other, hit Control J, join the meshes together, and that way they are all under one mesh. Now, I'm going to drag this over to about here, away from our block, and we're going to rotate 12.5 degrees. That is the approximate angle that a torch is in Blender. To get it accurate, you can hold shift or you can just type it on the numpad. With this, it's still a little too far away, so I'm going to drag it into the wall just a little bit more. About that, if you look at Blender, there's actually the bottom of the torch is about half exposed, and it looks about right. Go into our camera here. Hit Shift F to get into the first person floating view. And we'll align our camera a little closer to our torch. And if we render and go over to the render result, you can see that we have a legitimate looking torch in Blender. In the next part of this third series, we're going to go over how to make a point light appear on top of that and how to make it flicker as a light would.